Step 1. Motivation dependency trap. The motivation dependency trap happens when a person believes they can only take action when they feel motivated. At first, this seems normal because motivation feels powerful. It gives you energy, excitement, and clarity. You start strong, you feel unstoppable, and everything seems easy. But here's the hidden problem. Motivation is an emotion, not a system, and like all emotions, it is unstable. There are days when you feel driven after watching a video, hearing a speech, or imagining your future success. But there are also many days when you feel tired, distracted, or uninspired. When your progress depends on motivation, your consistency becomes unpredictable. This creates a dangerous pattern. You act when you feel like it, you stop when you don't feel like it, you restart again when motivation comes back. Over time, you mistake starting often for making progress. But in reality, you're stuck in a loop of starting and stopping, never building real momentum. Motivation gives you a burst of energy, but it doesn't build endurance. It's like a spark bright at the beginning, but quick to disappear. Real success, however, requires something more stable: routine, discipline, and systems. When you rely too much on motivation, small discomfort feels like a reason to quit. Boredom becomes a stopping point. Difficult days feel like failure. Instead of pushing through, you wait for the right feeling to come back. If you observe most people, you'll notice they start going to the gym when motivated, gives, then quit after a few weeks. They begin a business or side hustle, gives, then lose momentum when it gets hard. They plan big goals, gives, but never follow through consistently. This is not because they lack ability. It's because they built their actions on temporary emotion instead of structure. Even high performers don't rely on motivation. They build systems, fixed schedules, non-negotiable habits, clear routines. They act whether they feel motivated or not. If you only work when you feel motivated, you're training yourself to quit. Motivation is useful, but only as a starting spark, not as a foundation. If you want real progress, you must shift from "I'll do it when I feel like it" step to instant gratification addiction. Instant gratification addiction is the habit of constantly choosing immediate pleasure over long-term reward. It's when your brain is trained to chase what feels good right now: scrolling, watching, eating, gaming, while avoiding anything that feels hard, slow, or uncomfortable. The problem isn't just the behavior, it's what it does to your decision-making system. Every time you choose instant pleasure, you reinforce a pattern. Easy gives reward, hard gives avoid. Over time, your brain starts to reject anything that doesn't give quick results. Deep work feels too heavy, long-term goals feel too far. Discipline feels too painful. So even if you want success, your habits are pulling you in the opposite direction. This addiction is powerful because it's invisible and socially accepted. You don't feel like you're doing something harmful. You're just taking a break. Checking your phone, relaxing for a bit, but those small moments add up. Instead of building focus, you train your brain to seek constant stimulation. Avoid boredom at all costs. Quit tasks that don't give instant feedback. The result: your attention span weakens, your discipline drops, and your consistency breaks. Every time you choose instant gratification, you are silently trading. Future success gives for present comfort. Long-term growth gives for short-term pleasure. Discipline gives for dopamine. And the worst part? You don't notice the damage immediately. That's what makes it dangerous. Look at common patterns. You plan to work, gives, but end up scrolling for hours. You say 5 minutes only, gives, it becomes 1 hour. You choose entertainment over effort, gives, again and again. This isn't laziness. It's conditioning. Modern environments are designed to keep you hooked. Everything is fast, easy, and rewarding. Compared to that, real progress feels slow and frustrating. So naturally, most people fall into this cycle. Crave comfort, avoid difficulty, delay important actions, feel guilty, repeat. What feels good now is often what's keeping you broke, stuck, and distracted. Success requires the ability to delay gratification, to do what's hard now so life becomes easier later. You don't need to remove pleasure from your life, but you must stop letting it control your priorities. Shift from "I'll do what feels good" to I'll do what moves me forward. Step 3. Lack of clear direction. Lack of clear direction happens when a person knows they want success, money, or improvement, but doesn't know exactly what path to take or what target to aim for. It's like trying to travel without a destination. You can move, but you don't know if you're getting closer to anything meaningful. Many people stay busy watching motivational videos, starting projects, switching goals, but deep inside, they feel lost. Why? Because clarity is missing. Without a defined goal, your brain cannot prioritize actions. You end up doing random efforts instead of focused progress. This often shows up as jumping from one idea to another, starting but not finishing things, feeling busy but not productive, comparing yourself to others without knowing your own path, getting easily distracted or demotivated. It also creates internal confusion when your mind has no clear direction. It constantly asks, is this the right thing? Should I try something else? Am I wasting time? That uncertainty drains energy and kills momentum. Your brain is designed to follow clarity. When the goal is specific, your mind filters distractions and focuses on relevant actions. This is connected to a principle in psychology called goal-setting theory, which explains that clear, specific goals lead to higher performance compared to vague intentions. Without direction, your brain goes into default mode, which prefers comfort, distraction, and short-term pleasure. That's why people without clear goals often fall into procrastination or overthinking. Lack of direction is dangerous because 1. Wasted time. Years can pass without real progress because effort is scattered. 2. Low confidence. When you don't see results, you start doubting yourself. 3. Easily influenced. You follow trends, other people's paths, or hype instead of your own vision. 4. Burnout without results. You work hard, but not smart, leading to frustration. 5. Missed opportunities. Opportunities require preparation, and preparation requires direction. Think about successful people. They don't just work hard, they work towards something specific. Direction turns effort into results. Real life example. Imagine two people. Person A says, I want to be successful. Person B says, I want to build a digital marketing agency earning Philippine peso 100,000 per month in 12 months. Person B has direction. That clarity leads to learning specific skills, taking targeted actions, measuring progress, adjusting strategy. Person A, on the other hand, stays stuck in general motivation without real movement. Lack of clear direction is not about laziness, it's about uncertainty. And uncertainty kills action faster than fear. You don't need a perfect plan, but you do need a clear target. Because once direction is defined, even small steps become powerful. Step for emotional burnout cycle. The emotional burnout cycle is a repeating pattern where a person pushes themselves too hard, becomes mentally and emotionally exhausted, temporarily recovers, and then repeats the same behavior again without fixing the root cause. At first, it often looks like motivation. You feel inspired, energized, and ready to change your life. You start working harder, staying up late, saying I'll rest later, but over time, that intense effort turns into pressure. The cycle usually follows this pattern. 1. High motivation phase. You feel driven, excited, and ambitious. 2. Overexertion phase. You push beyond your limits, sacrificing rest and balance. 3. Exhaustion phase. You feel drained, unmotivated, and mentally tired. 4. Withdrawal phase. You stop, procrastinate, or avoid responsibilities. 5. Guilt and frustration phase. You feel bad for wasting time. 6. Restart phase. You get motivated again and repeat the cycle. This is not just being tired, it's a deeper psychological and emotional drain that affects your focus, decision-making, and even self-worth. Burnout is closely linked to burnout, a condition recognized in psychology as chronic stress that hasn't been properly managed. It also connects to the Yerkes-Dodson law, which explains that while some stress improves performance, too much stress leads to a sharp decline. When you constantly operate at high pressure without recovery, your performance and mental health collapse. Another hidden factor is emotional suppression. Many people ignore stress signals, fatigue, anxiety, frustration, and keep pushing. The emotional burnout cycle is dangerous because it creates the illusion of progress while actually slowing you down. 1. Inconsistent results. You start strong but can't sustain momentum. 2. Mental fatigue. Your brain becomes less creative, less focused, and more negative. 3. Loss of passion. Things you once enjoyed start to feel like obligations. 4. Self-doubt. You begin to question your discipline, not realizing the system is the problem. 5. Long-term damage. Continuous burnout can affect physical health, sleep, and emotional stability. The worst part, many people blame themselves thinking they are lazy or weak when in reality, they are just stuck in a destructive cycle. Week 1. Works 10 to 12 hours a day. Highly motivated. Week 2. Starts feeling tired but continues pushing. Week 3. Feels drained, stops posting or working. Week 4. Feels guilty, watches motivation again. Week 5. Restarts with extreme effort. This pattern repeats for months, but growth stays slow because consistency is broken. Burnout doesn't come from working hard. It comes from working hard without recovery, balance, and emotional awareness. Sustainable success is not about intensity, it's about consistency. You're not failing because you're weak. You're stuck in a cycle that rewards intensity but punishes consistency. Final advice: no system, only willpower. At first glance, relying purely on willpower sounds powerful, even heroic. It creates this image of someone who can push through anything using sheer mental strength. But in reality, operating with no system and only willpower is one of the most exhausting and unreliable ways to pursue success. Willpower is a limited resource. Every decision you make throughout the day, what to eat, whether to scroll, whether to work, consumes mental energy. This concept is closely related to the ego depletion, which suggests that self-control gets weaker the more you use it. So, if your entire life depends on forcing yourself to do things, you are setting yourself up for inconsistency. Without a system, everything becomes a daily battle. You wake up and ask, should I work today? Should I exercise? Should I focus or relax? That constant decision-making creates friction, and friction leads to procrastination. Now compare that to having a system. You don't decide if you work, you just follow your schedule. You don't rely on motivation, you rely on habits. You don't negotiate with yourself, you execute. This connects deeply to the idea of decision fatigue. The more choices you have to make, the worse your decisions become over time. Without systems, your brain gets tired, and when it's tired, it chooses comfort. Here's the deeper truth: willpower is emotional, systems are structural. Willpower depends on how you feel. If you feel motivated, gives you act. If you feel tired, gives you stop. But systems remove emotions from the equation. Whether you feel good or bad gives you still act. This is why highly successful people don't rely on motivation. They build systems that make success automatic. For example, fixed work hours, pre-planned tasks, clear routines, environment designed for focus. Without these, you fall into a cycle. 1. You feel motivated, gives you work hard. 2. You get tired, gives you stop. 3. You feel guilty, gives you try again. 4. Repeat. That's not discipline, that's burnout waiting to happen. Justification: relying only on willpower is flawed because it assumes humans are consistently strong. But humans are not machines. We are affected by sleep, stress, emotions, environment, and distractions. A system, on the other hand, is like a support structure for your future self. It reduces the need to be strong every single day. Think of it this way: willpower is like sprinting. Systems are like building a road. You can sprint fast, but only for a short time. A road allows you to move forward consistently, even when you're tired. Another critical point: systems create identity. When you follow a system daily, you stop asking, do I feel like doing this? If you truly want long-term success, stop trying to be strong every day. Start making it easier to act every day. Because in the end, success doesn't come from moments of intensity, it comes from systems that make consistency unavoidable.